My name is Bond.
James Bond.
Shaken, not stirred.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
I'm now aiming precisely at your groin.
That's not funny, 007.
For England, James? No.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Enter the BondVerse. I'm joined as, I'm one of your hosts, Nathan. I should say, let you know who I am. I'm no man of mystery, but I'll tell you who isn't a mystery. I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, YouTube extraordinaire, writer, general entertainer, becoming a YouTube shorter. It's Kyle. Say hello.
Hello, a YouTube shorter, is that the word we're going with?
Yeah, you don't have like an equivalent, like for TikToker, you know?
No, I suppose not.
You should become a TikToker.
Just a short YouTuber, a short king.
A short king. A short, no, there's an S in shorts, so it's a shorts king.
A shorts king. Eat my shorts, yeah.
Eat my shorts. Yes, get brilliant. This is why you're the man with the creative bone in you. Yeah. Brilliant.
Nathan, what are we doing this week?
Kyle, this week we're looking at the 1999 movie, not quite into the millennium yet, but we're almost there. The World Is Not Enough.
1999, that means, Nathan, I have very exciting news for you.
Oh, tell me.
We are both alive at this point.
What? What? Crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That
20 movies in and we've finally been born, Nathan.
Finally been born. That is actually quite crazy to consider. This is what... So, on Amazon Prime, by the way, this apparently came out in the year 2000, but I checked and I knew this was a film pre-millennium. This came out in the 19th of November, 1999. So, Kyle, yeah. I was, 16 months old?
A year and a bit.
Yeah.
I would have been about 8 months old.
Crazy. My goodness gracious me, Kyle. I can't believe we're finally alive. This is our first Bond movie, some would say.
Some would say that. I wouldn't say that because we were not old enough to be watching movies or understanding English. But yeah. But the first one that we could in the world of possibilities, this is the first one we could have saw. You know? Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But no, we didn't.
What a movie to rein us in, Nathan.
What a movie to herald our coming. Yeah. I tell you what, the world wasn't enough for us, Kyle. The world wasn't enough for us.
No, okay. I think this is a downgrade. I don't think this movie's bad per se. I just think this movie's kind of boring.
I think this is the middle of the stack film for Brosnan.
Yeah.
This is like one of the middle of the road Moore ones that you just kind of forget about. Yeah,
because we'll get to the last one next week. I think Die Another Day is bonkers enough that it loops back around to being fun again. This movie just isn't very fun.
And we'll get to Die Another Day when we get there, but so this is where I might have trouble to separate my critical analysis over my rose-tinted glasses, because as we mentioned, first Bond era, I actually think maybe, I know there's only 4 of them, but I think it might have been either GoldenEye or this was like one of my first Bond movies. It's got a lot of, Scottish talent in it. This is exactly the kind of movie your dad would show you, Kyle, you know?
Yeah.
We get Robbie Coltrane and we get Robert Carlyle, it's all...
So many Roberts.
So many Roberts. I just have fond memories of this film. I do think that some of the finer points and there's a couple of moments in this movie where like that made no sense. We're just doing it to propel the film forward, but not because it's actually something the character would do. But I don't know. It's definitely middle of the stack. I was never bored though, but I don't know if I was never bored because I have fond childhood memories of it or not. I enjoy the submarine stuff. I enjoy characters getting soaking wet, as you know. And
we'll talk about that, yeah.
And any excuse, Kyle, to have Valentin Zukovsky on screen is just always a joy. I love Robbie Coltrane and both of his appearances in the Bond franchise.
Sure, okay. Well, we don't start in the Russian mountains this time.
We don't. We're trading in runways for Swiss bankers, Kyle, in this pre-title sequence.
Yeah, Nathan. If you can't trust the Swiss banker, what's the world come to?
That's a good question, Kyle. It's a good question. But Bond's actually here to take some money that was being given back to a clientele of Bond and MI6s remains unknown. But when he gets it, and all the secretary would like Bond to check her figures.
He's sure they're perfectly rounded.
He's sure they're perfectly rounded, you're correct. Now, he then would cop up to the Swiss banker, though, that he's not here for the money and just the money. He needs a name because an MI6 agent's been killed trying to retrieve the stolen money before the Swiss banker was going to give it back to Bond and MI6.
Yeah. I don't know if this was 009. They do mention 009 later.
They mentioned 009 being the man that was sent to kill Renard. This is just a different.
Yeah, I don't know if
agent.
this was the same mission. It's just a different MI6. Okay, yeah. F, unknown number.
F, MI6 stock standard agent.
Yeah. I guess it could be not a 00. It could just be like a money penny, but yeah.
I think it was just an agent. I don't think it was a. It didn't get the rank of 00 kill. This was just like a stamper type, you know.
What's the guy in this movie? Charles. He's like M's assistant.
Yeah. Because Bill Tanner, who was in GoldenEye, he just disappears. He's kind of there in the background sometimes.
Yeah, he's in this movie.
Yeah, he is in this movie. But I like Charles. I'm more of a Charles man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. He's a weird one because isn't Moneypenny M's assistant? But I guess she also has this guy. So
she's the office secretary, Kyle.
Okay, fine.
She doesn't get to go out in the field, really. She gets to sit in a Scottish castle, Kyle.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we'll get to the Scottish castle later.
Well, they threaten to kill Bond because the numbers are not in his favour, coming from a banker.
Oh, there's so many banker puns. It's ridiculous. They just have like a back and forth of bank puns.
Yeah, they do. Well, Bond's full of surprises because he has a bomb set in the room, or like a stun grenade, that goes off when he closes his glasses. Or there's a button in the glasses leg. So what if you took that off and folded them up accidentally and it set off the stun grenade when it wasn't required?
But you just have to be extremely precise, Nathan. He's Bond. Yeah. He's always extremely precise.
He's a scalpel, not a hammer, you know? Mm-hmm. And he picks up the banker and he's like, just give me the name. And he's like, well, you need to protect me if I'm going to give up who the name is. But then Kyle, he dies. He's killed with like a toxic dart in the neck, you know? He's like that shapeshifter that Jango Fett killed in Attack of the Clones.
That's Slimo, yeah.
Yeah, And Kyle, see the secretary with the rounded figures? She's actually an assassin. Can you believe it?
I know. Big twist. I can't believe it.
Big twist. So Bond's kind of about to go and pursue, but then he's got to like secure the money. But then the police are at the door.
Yeah, the police are at the door, and I do love his escape from this because he takes like the wire from the curtains.
Yep.
And he sort of ties it around the body. He ties it, not the body, one of the unconscious guards.
Yep.
He ties it around himself and he jumps out the window to use the guy as a counterweight. The Bond theme's playing. It's just cool stuff.
It's just cool stuff. I think this is the most boring suit he's ever worn. Bond, he really does look like some sort of beat. Like, he's not undercover here, but he fucking looks like he should be, because what a dog-ass suit he's wearing, in my opinion.
He's undercover as a guy who's too lame to be a spy, Nathan.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't think he's undercover, that's the thing. So makes it to the bottom, and the henchman wakes up and sort of stops him from getting to the ground, so he's kind of got to, like, yank it a little bit to make him come loose.
Uh-huh.
But we get to the bottom and everything's fine, and we kind of cut back, and now we're in the MI6 headquarters in London, aren't we? And he's brought a little treat back from Switzerland for Moneypenny.
Flowers, an engagement ring.
Some chocolates, perhaps?
Mm-hmm.
No, Kyle, he's brought back a cigar. And
yes,
she's just, like, oh, right, okay, well, I know exactly what I can do with this 007. And he leans in, he's like, oh yeah, what could you do with that? Because it's suggestively shaped, Kyle.
Yeah, no, she says, I know exactly where to put this. Yeah.
Yes, and then she chucks it in the bin. And Bond just goes, oh, Moneypenny, the story of our relationship, close, but no cigar. I think that even if this is a middle-of-the-stack Bond movie, it just gets the Office Band stuff bang on. I don't think... It's just good fun.
The Office Bands are always good.
I'm entertained,
Because immediately after this, she says, I'm not to take you away from national affairs or something like that.
No, M is on the tannoy, and she's like, not to tear you away from matters of state, Bond, But I need you in here.
Yes, uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Can I just say here, I think a lot of people talk about the Bond franchise and the Brosnan era and how Moneypenny just kind of degrades as the movies go by. I think right now she's perfectly fine. I think
it's really
Samantha
just the
Bond,
last one, I guess.
It's just the last one, and even then, I think it's actually only that singular scene with the VR goggles at the end of the film. Like,
it just leaves such a bad impression.
Yeah, but because I know these films so vividly, it's never an opinion I've really held because I've watched these films all out of order when I was younger. So I've just always never really cared, you know? I love Samantha Bond in this role. I think that she's very capable, and she's more than capable of handling a misogynistic dinosaur like James Bond.
The bands are strong. But yeah, so we do go into M's office. She is there with her old school friend, Richard King.
What a great name. No, it's Kyle, it's Robert King.
Oh, sorry, Robert King. My bad. So many Roberts.
So many Roberts, yeah. So yes, Sir Robert King is the man who the money was stolen from. And he's standing in M's office having a little drink and a little laugh with M, you know. And she's like, my love to the family. So, like, he knows M. They have a relationship. They were friends. And apparently they read law at Oxford together.
Yeah, something like that. You know what? It's weird. This movie does a lot of like M stuff, which I approve of, but it becomes awkward that she doesn't have a real name. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene later between her and Electra King where Electra King calls her M, and I'm like, I feel like as a family friend she would use her actual name, not her designation. But yeah.
Yeah, maybe like it's ingrained into her, ingrained to like people that come into the office don't use her name. You know? She's just such a diva.
Yeah,
She like refuses to you can't call Cher her name. You can only call her Cher. God forbid you ever say Beyonce Knowles in front of Beyonce. You know.
I have a sudden crackpot theory. What if she is Mrs. Boothroyd, Nathan?
Oh my God, Kyle! You can't just say shit like that on the podcast. People like fan theories galore.
Cause we do know in this movie, because she does say later that she had to go against her instincts as a mother, so we do know she has kids. This is
yes.
M lore.
Oh yes, this is M lore. So she does have a family. She's got kids. Robert King knows the family because that's what he says as he's parking the room. And yeah, we do talk about how Robert King's daughter had previously been kidnapped, and the money that has been returned to MI6 is the exact same value amount as what the ransom for the daughter was. But we'll get there later.
Yeah,
Bond,
a bit later. Yeah,
Bond is offered a drink from M, though, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yes, they were just having a chat about the mission.
Yeah, about the mission
because there was a sniper that saved Bond's life earlier in the mission.
Yes,
and they don't know who it was.
Fucking clue who it was. I forgot about that actually. Good for you for bringing that up.
Yeah. It doesn't really matter, that's why. But
yeah, it doesn't really matter. So Bond takes a little bit of the scotch or the brandy, whatever it was. What is it that the cognac? What is it that M drinks?
Is it bourbon? I can't remember.
It might be bourbon, yeah, because Pierce Brosnan gets put in his place in GoldenEye because like your predecessor used to keep a bottle of that. Yeah. So a little chemical reaction takes place in that moment where he touches the ice, and he immediately knows that any chemical reaction ever in existence must mean there's a bomb in the money. That's just what he knows. That's if Bond's in a restaurant somewhere on holiday on vacation and little suds appear in his finger, he knows there's a bomb in money. That's all it can mean. It doesn't mean anything else. It doesn't mean that something else is mixed.
Bond has been like poisoned and shit enough to recognize chemical reactions at this point. You have to remember that he's been doing this since the 60s at this point.
Yeah, I suppose so. And he knows that this specific chemical reaction only happened from... Because it couldn't just be like a pesticide that he touched on the door handle. Like, it must be the money's got a bomb in it. That's all it could mean. So he gets up out the chair and fucking legs it, doesn't he, Kyle?
Yes, he's legging it through MI6. This is, I think, the first time we've seen this iteration of the MI6 headquarters, but this is the one that stays into the next generation of movies, right?
It is the one that stays in the next generation of movies. I don't know. I think we've seen it before. Maybe I didn't note it down. I think we've seen it before.
I don't know if we did. I feel like I would have noted it if we did.
That's fine. Maybe it's the first time it's been noticed. I'll look into it, actually. You know what? We'll bring it up next time we see it. But Bond is fucking legging it through MI6, and he runs through the Q section, the Q branch bit of MI6, because that's apparently on the way to the bank vault where the money's been kept.
Apparently, yes.
Jesus Christ, like, Bond was barely in M's office for 2 minutes, and Robert King has made all this distance by fucking walking. Well, Bond's fucking legging it. Did he have like one of those little mobility vehicles to take him around?
He was power walking, Nathan. It's important to keep your fitness up when you reach older age, you know?
So Bond just is incapable of catching up no matter how quick he runs, but Q is not. He doesn't condone of all this running through MI6. He's like, oh, what now, 007, you know? But King makes it to the money in the vault, and he opens it and he observes it, and then a little radio signal goes off in the pin on his lapel, and it sets off a detonation in the money, and it blows a bloody hole through the MI6 headquarters building and kills everyone in the room, and Bond is just outside the room, just in awe. He's failed, you know?
But then he looks through the hole and he sees a lady on a boat with a machine gun who I don't think actually needs to be there for any of this.
I think she should have just observed that it all went off without a hitch. Because if...
Yeah, but then she pulls out a machine gun.
No, she's always got the red dot there, and I think it might be to basically kill survivors. But for some reason she doesn't gun down Bond and make sure he can't leave that room.
I just feel like that kind of gives the game away if you have someone sitting there with a machine gun, right?
Yeah, but I think it was just to check for survivors, you know? Because ultimately, I think if Q wasn't working in his own fisherman boat, she would have got away. Like, what the hell's Bond going to do to catch up, you know? Nothing is the answer.
I suppose so, yes. But yes, as pointed out, he does indeed have a fishing boat. It's not actually a fishing boat, it's a highly advanced spy boat with, like, rockets.
Yes, But
yes.
it's to catch some pretty big fish.
But yeah, Bond does jump into it, and Q's very annoyed. He's like, it's not finished yet.
Did we mention, by the way, the person overviewing the bomb explosions, the secretary assassin from Switzerland?
Oh, no, we didn't, but yes, it is. It's the same lady.
Yeah, it's the same lady. This is all pre-credits, by the way. Pre-titles.
I didn't time it, but I think this might be our longest time ever without the opening.
Yeah, I think so as well. This went on for a bit.
We have 2 whole action sequences before we actually get to the opening.
Yeah, and like just plot and dialogue and character moments, everything, office bants, the whole lot before we even hit the titles.
I will say though, once we get into the boat chase, it's a pretty good boat chase.
It's a pretty good boat chase, Kyle, you're right. Like, we do some different parts of the Thames, some more affluent bits, some wider parts, some canal-type bits. We go off-road, we go off-water, Kyle.
Yeah, we do. I think this is our first action sequence in London, home soil.
Yeah, you might be right. I've never really considered it. You're probably right, though. This is like the war at home. Yeah, like, the enemies have reached British shores.
The home front, yeah.
The home front, yeah. Some might say there's some changelings in the Thames. But we catch up with this assassin, don't we? Mm-hmm. And she jumps into a hot air balloon to get away, hit the Millennium Dome.
Yes.
And Bond jumps up and onto it in perfect fashion, you know? And he's like, you know, who sent you?
Well, yeah,
like,
he jumps the boat and then he launches himself out of the boat and, somehow manages to grab the rope. It's very impressive.
It's very impressive, yeah. But he's like, come on, like, who sent you to do this? Like, we can help you, we can protect you. And she's like, no, you can't, not from him. And there's a helicopter kind of watching. I don't know if it's a police helicopter, it shows she's surrounded, or it's like somebody working for the villain. I'm not sure. But she then, like...
I will say, after watching the whole movie, I think she's vastly overestimating the capabilities of this villain. But...
So do I, by the way.
She talks about this guy like he's the kingpin in Daredevil, but he's really not.
He's like ruling over London, like the cops are involved, and like there's no safe harbour. But she pulls out a gun, she shoots like I don't know where the gas tanks are on the side of hot air balloon baskets. Yeah. And it explodes, and Bond has to fucking let go and drop pretty fucking hard onto the dome and slide down. He gets his arm caught in the cabling.
He falls like 20 feet. He falls pretty freaking far.
I thought it was just like a little 5 feet drop, but still, anyway, listen, it was still a pretty fucking hard drop. Maybe it's gets at an angle, Kyle, so like it's a controlled descent.
Yeah, I'm sure that the outside of the Millennium Dome is all just full padding, right? That's how that works.
Let's say it is. It was 99, Kyle. You know, they still had the wrapper on it. You know, it wasn't the Millennium just yet.
Yeah.
So we get caught in it, and Bond's, you know, his shoulder's fucked, and he's kind of trapped up there dangling, and then we get hit with our opening titles. And I didn't time it either, but this is quite a bit into the film.
His shoulder is fucked in quotation marks. Or I guess not in quotation marks, we'll get to it.
We'll get to it, yeah. But we're hit with The World Is Not Enough, Kyle, by Garbage.
Yes.
What an unfortunate title of a band for such a nice rendition of a song.
Yeah. They picked a name, I guess, but they did open themselves up to, like, whenever they have a song that's bad, it's like, oh, this song was garbage. Ha 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 ha. I'm a very clever music critic. Ha ha.
Maybe in the 90s they thought this was, like, ironic.
This is a very 90s name, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. But we got a lot of CGI dancing oil ladies, Kyle. What the hell could this film be about?
Yes. We have a big field of oil derricks. We have ladies dancing in oil and being bathed in oil. Yeah, there's a lot of oil imagery.
But, Kyle, do you like the song?
I like this song. Yeah, I think it's good.
Good song, good.
I don't think any of the Brosnan songs miss. I will say that now, including the Madonna one. We'll get to it.
Okay, we'll get there. Yeah, okay, that's fun. So this is kind of a visually standard Bond opening title, just naked women enveloped in oil, CGI dancing ladies. Yeah, nice song, lots of names, and then we come out of the titles and we're in Scotland.
We're in Scotland. We're jump scared by bagpipes. Yeah.
I'm not jump scared by bagpipes. Bagpipes are always welcome in the Nathan household.
Okay, fine.
I love a good bagpipe.
Yeah, we're at the funeral of Robert King, who is being buried in Scotland for reasons I don't really understand.
Maybe his family are Scottish.
It seems like his family's based in
Azerbaijan.
Not Kazakhstan. Where are they?
Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
Well, this is key to the film, Kyle. Electra King's mother is from Azerbaijan. It was her family that discovered the oil fields, and the father kind of came in and took over, or something the film implies, but doesn't actually ever really engage with substantially. But this is all set up, Kyle, for this is a Ponce privately educated Scottish lord, I think. Laird. That's what we're saying Sir Robert King is, right? Even though
I'm pretty sure he was English.
Yeah. Maybe you listen, Kyle, Scottish people don't like to talk about it, but you get some fucking pompous ass Scottish people that become anglicised the more time they spend in the south, right?
Yeah.
You want to know who's Scottish?
Do
you want to know who's Scottish and you would never be able to fucking tell by listening to the man talk? One Sir Tony Blair, former Prime Minister. Would you know he was Scottish to listen to that man talk?
You know, Nathan, I'm not sure I could tell you what Tony Blair sounds like.
Crazy, okay, right. Well, anyway, he's Scottish and you wouldn't be able to fucking tell he was. Same thing here for Sir Robert King, right?
Okay, sure, yeah. He's a Scottish class traitor, is what you're saying. He's
a Scottish class traitor, that's exactly what I'm fucking saying, Kel. Yeah, actually, we should have a bit more fucking nationalism in this film. No. It's fine, listen, I'm sure he was a lovely man. He was a rich oil baron polluting the environment. We miss him dearly, right?
Yeah, a lovely man, yes.
A lovely man.
Yeah, this is the thing the movie doesn't really engage with at all. I agree with you with like how they bring up the whole oil family business.
Yeah.
They also established that he was good friends with M, and maybe they could get into there something about like how MI6 is kind of inherently imperialist, but they just don't because they're the good guys.
I understand. I will grant the film that it's not really here to question society.
But then just don't introduce this as a concept at all.
Well, I think really, Kyle, the film does try to go in for the, you know, my father married into my mother's family and basically swindled the business off of her, but they were still always married. Mother's never in the film, by the way, never mentioned, never brought up, or sorry, mentioned a lot, but never in a scene, never cast, never whatever. I feel there's a lot of this film, the cutting room floor, potentially revolve around that part of the film, because it's just quite half-baked. She's just like, oh, my father came in, he took control, he made it a massive success, my mother's not around for some reason, but we're not going to talk about it, and I hate my father's now dead, he deserved to die, I had him killed, I am now in charge of the family. Azerbaijan forever? Like...
Yeah, even though this actress is French, but sure.
Yeah, right. Well, we should say this is where we're introduced to Electra King. We're kind of going through this a little bit out of order, but here's our villain of the piece, Kyle.
Well, not yet, but yes.
Basically, though,
she does
right?
She hugs M at the funeral. Yes.
Yeah, daughter of Sir Robert King.
Yes.
And
Electra King. Yes.
Yes.
He's at the back of the funeral because sometimes you're at a funeral and you don't actually know the person, so you're just hanging out with your friends. He's there with Charles and Moneypenny, and they're just sort of chilling. Like, we don't really belong here, but we're here.
They're there as part of M's entourage.
Yes, exactly.
When an important member of the government goes to a public engagement, she got to have an entourage. Can't just go herself, you know. And because Bond met Sir Robert King for 5 seconds, he gets to go, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, this is where the exposition is that this was Robert King's daughter, and we cut to a castle, Kyle, in the Highlands.
Oh my god, I love it. This is MI6 headquarters Scotland. We get the little title card, and it's amazing. It's this massive, luxurious castle inside. Yep. They've got all these great boardrooms with like this old medieval furniture with like modern stuff. I love it. I wish they were always based in MI6 headquarters Scotland.
It just feels very Camden, doesn't it? It's like when M would have like a full office in a submarine, or like at the back of an airplane. And is that a
sure
Living Daylights or something?
The back of the airplane is Living Daylights. Yeah.
So this is where we kind of get the exposition about it's like a fertilizer bomb that was in the money, and Robert King's pin had been replaced with a radio transmitter that looked like his pin, and when he got near it, I think maybe that's why this Secretary Assassin was outside. She had to know when he was in range to manually detonate it or something like that.
I thought it was automated, but okay.
Maybe.
It seems like something that should be automated.
Yeah, doesn't it? Yeah. I just got a note here. Bond's in a kind of checkered tweedy suit, and I love it. I love it. I think it's a really nice suit.
Well, we're in a meeting here. There's a couple guys in chairs who I assume are other double agents. There's a lady there, very controversial. But
yeah, it's quite a big briefing, and then everyone gets up to go about their tasks, and M walks off.
Yeah,
Bond's
because M gives her speech of like, we've been embarrassed as MI6. We will not let this stand. We will bring these criminals to justice and all that. She's pissed. She's taking this personally.
Yeah, which the film does engage with a little bit, but Bond's like, where the fuck's my like task? And then Charles is like, you're off the active duty roster till medical gives you a clean bill of health. So then, of course, we need to
doesn't it make you wonder for the rest of the movie what the fuck the rest of these agents are up to if Bond is doing all this shit and he wasn't even supposed to be on this case?
Right?
What are those guys investigating?
When he was cleared for active duty, maybe they just reassigned them to... They're dealing with, like, the funeral of General Gaugal. Okay? That's what they're dealing with.
Oh, General Gaugal was murdered?
I'm just assuming so. Like, it's USSR's collapsed. It's been a few years. He was an old man. I think the actor actually did die in 1997, I think. So we're a couple of years past it. But I'm just assuming that that's what they're up to. They're the official British envoy to the funeral of General Gaugal.
Obviously, we've lost a bunch of MI6 agents. We know 009 is still alive. He's still active. Or yes. Maybe she. Although I think they say he in this movie.
Yes, because he was sent to put a bullet in the terrorist's head.
Yeah.
But we need to say that in this moment, Kyle Bond gets sent to medical, and we have a bit of fun with a very unprofessional medical professional, in quotation marks.
Oh my god.
And she should just be fired.
This is a scene right out of a Sean Connery movie.
Yeah. She's like, Bond, if I'm going to clear you for duty, you better remember to call me this time. And he's like, oh, doctor's orders and all that,
Yeah, maintained constant contact. Yes, all this, yeah.
A lot of nonsense. So
let's skirt the issue as he unbuttons her skirt. Yeah,
a lot of fucking nonsense, Kyle. They should both have lost their jobs here, frankly. Though we should say that...
Yeah.
Bond has like...
Why did they ever assign Bond a female doctor? Just give him a male doctor. He's going to have a harder time seducing him.
Yeah, I agree. Now, we then cut to Bond just walking down a hallway. It's almost like it's a sitcom. He's just like walking down and he sees a guy in bagpipes and sort of like double backs on himself to look back in that room. Was he just listening to some bagpipes? Because I don't think he knew Q was in there yet. He just saw a man walking up and down with bagpipes, and then like there's a dummy, and he stops playing, and then it turns into like a machine gun and then a flamethrower.
Yeah.
And then Bond walks in and
we all have to face the pipe.
Yeah.
We all have to pay the piper sometime.
Yeah, AQ. Oh, pipe down 007.
Oh, very good.
Right, hello, Colonel Boothroyd.
Legend.
The legend that is Desmond Llewellyn. A very fun Q invention, machine gun flame-throwing bagpipes.
It's good that this is another classic Q scene, because obviously this is his last scene as Q.
Yes,
he goes out strong, I think.
Yes, Desmond Llewellyn, always an absolute joy in the franchise. This is indeed his last. I think the plan was for him to keep going. I don't think he planned on retiring, but I believe died in a car accident, which is pretty rough.
Well, I assume it is, because they set up his replacement in this movie.
Yeah, but I don't. It's a clean. Like, don't get me wrong. It sounds morbid, but in like a clean way to get rid of him. This is it. Like you introduce the next generation, but I think you still could have had both of them together in the next one, and then like after that you maybe drop.
Okay, so they established they don't actually call it. Oh, Bond makes a joke and calls him if you're Q, does that make him R? So,
well,
yeah, but
if
you look at the credits, he actually is credited as R.
Yeah, he is credited as R. So Q is pissed about his retirement boat that he jokes about. And then he's like, but here, come meet my new protege. And out from like the floor comes like a pool table with the one and only John Cleese.
What a great pick. Honestly, if you're going to replace Desmond Llewellyn, I think this was a perfect choice.
Absolutely. And he's more kind of bumbling than Desmond Llewellyn, so Desmond Llewellyn still feels like he's got authority and he can bully John Cleese around.
Yeah. What I love is they set up like, I've got this young fellow to replace me, and then John Cleese comes out and he's not that much younger than Desmond Llewellyn.
Yeah. Oh, he's maybe like 15 years younger.
Yeah. But yeah, John Cleese, he just meshes perfectly. He's like, the legendary Bond wit I've heard so much about.
Or at least half of it. Yeah. So he's like,
Great stuff.
Come here, 007, and let's look at all your gadgets. And he's like, oh, let me guess, new specs. And he puts on the sunglasses. And I quite like these sunglasses. I think they look quite fly. Then we see the new car. It's got the Stinger missiles, and it's he says it's got 6 beverage holders. Otherwise, it's fully stocked. And then Q's like, the term is fully loaded, you fucking idiot. And then he's like, sort of bubbling away, and Q's like, oh, show Bond the new jacket. And he puts it on. He comes on and he tries to teach Bond how to put a jacket on. And he's like, the left arm goes through the left sleeve thus, and the right sleeve through the right arm through the right sleeve thus. And then he teaches him about the zipper. Then Q just fucking pulls the ripcord, and it turns into a big bowling ball. And John Cleese is just like rolling around.
It's an
on the floor.
anti-avalanche jacket.
An anti-avalanche jacket, just amazing. So whilst John Cleese is rolling around on the floor like a fucking idiot, Bond turns to Q and says, like, I hope that like you're not planning on retiring anytime soon, are you? And Q says he's always taught Bond 2 things in life. What are those 2 things, Kyle?
Q says, I've always tried to teach you 2 lessons. Never let them see you bleed, and always have an escape plan. And then he does a great thing where he hits a button and he starts to go down the floor. Amazing exit for the character. I absolutely love that. Yeah,
right? A little cheeky smile on his face as he descends through the floor. Amazing. The last time we ever see Desmond Llewellyn in the role is with a little cheeky smile on his face, giving Bond some exiting wisdom and exiting scenes straight down. Wonderful.
But I will say, like, always have an escape plan. I buy that from Q. Never let them see you bleed. When the fuck has he ever taught Bond that?
With all the gadgets, I suppose. Never going to bleed in your anti-avalanche jacket, are you?
I guess not. It doesn't seem like something Q has ever taught him. I'll be honest.
Maybe they have like a deeper relationship off camera. You know, this is what we're gonna get in the Amazon Bond Q spin-off, where Q mentors a young James Bond.
Oh God! Don't give me the CGI Desmond Llewellyn. I don't want it.
I don't think we'll get a CGI Desmond Llewellyn. I think we'll get just a very old man teaching like a pre-00 ranked Bond how to not bleed and also.
Well, we did see a new iteration of Q yesterday because we got the trailer for that James Bond game, and it's an old man with a mustache, and that seems fine.
007 First Light is the name of the game. Going to be on all console and PC later this year, apparently. Looking forward to it.
2026, I think.
Oh, is it next year? Right, okay.
Yeah.
And now, just to briefly talk about that for a little second, looking forward to it, and it's supposed to be like Bond before he becomes a 00, like the path to becoming Bond, which is basically what happens in Casino Royale, except they make him a 00
It's
at
an
the start
origin
of the
story,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the guy looks too young, rather, which I guess it's an origin story, whatever, but you could just, it's a video game, you can make him a bit older. Apart from that, everything's fine, I suppose. I just don't like your core main character.
It looks like they've gone for kind of a fusion of classic Bond and Daniel Craig Bond.
Yes, exactly.
In terms of like the vibes.
Yep, absolutely. But you know what? They've got the On Her Majesty's Secret Service theme, so we're doing something.
They do. Which like shocked me because like who the fuck remembers On Her Majesty's Secret Service? But also it's a great Bond theme, so like I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, it is a great Bond theme. Didn't see any skis in
the
the trailer.
They get that going and it builds up the hype. No.
Yeah.
I mean, they're halfway through it, they're doing the action, goes da da da
yeah.
Da 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 do do do.
Looking forward to it. And we're gonna review it right here on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh boy.
Not saying when we're doing it, not saying when, but we'll do it.
Nathan, you can't open that well because there's so many James Bond games that we have. We're like in the era right now where all of these movies have like a tie-in Bond game.
We are not reviewing any other Bond video game tie-in or GoldenEye or any of these games. We're not doing any of that. We're not doing 007 Legends.
Nightfire, Nathan. Yeah.
We're doing
Was it
none of it.
Nightfire or Nightfall or something like that?
We're doing absolutely none of it, Kyle. I don't care. But this is supposed to be the start of like a new video game cinematic universe with one actor doing the role.
Yes.
So this could be a beginning the ground floor, Kyle, you know? This is like where we need to come back to do Penguin and Peacemaker for DCEU and Deadpool, you know?
Uh-huh.
So, Bond is back in active duty roster because the doctor has noted his increased stamina.
Incredible stamina, yes.
Incredible stamina. And M decides to assign Bond to look after Electra King, but be there like a shadow. In front or behind, never on top.
Well, first Bond... This is when Bond does in his investigations on the time that Electra King was kidnapped.
Oh,
and
yes, so he does.
He finds out that the ransom is the same amount of money, yeah.
Yeah, he does the exchange.
So this is when he confronts M.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, M, put me on the duty roster. You sealed the file. You're taking this too personally. I'm on the case.
So she like tells everyone to get out of the fucking room, and she's like, "I'll talk to you privately." And yeah. So this is where he talks about how like when Electra first got kidnapped, Robert tried to deal with it himself, had no luck, then came to her, and she said, "We don't negotiate with terrorists." And then she was like, basically wanting to use Electra as bait to try and scope out Renard.
Yeah. She was doing some M stuff. Yeah,
she was doing some M stuff. Then it ended up that Electra was given back or something. I'm not quite clear. She killed
escaped.
She escaped. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we get shown a big, very
1999 hologram, yeah.
Of Robert Carlyle, who's our terrorist, Renard. But we
it
don't...
It looks like they pulled the same file from the game of the movie.
Yeah, at first
we don't... hologram.
At first we don't know that this is the same man that kidnapped, or that it's the same man that killed Robert King, but we assume that it is because the money's the same amount.
Yes.
We think it's a message.
And yeah, he has this very convoluted thing where he was shot in the head, but he didn't die, but the bullet is like slowly going towards his brain, which is cutting off his pain receptors, making him stronger, ?
Well, it means that, so it's basically 009 was sent to kill Renard, and he did execute, he did put a bullet in his head, but it didn't kill him, and the bullet is slowly sort of, as he moves, it's sort of wedging its way through his brain, and it's just basically cutting off your senses. So like, I understand how it makes you stronger, because if like you're holding a scalding hot plate or like a rock, as this film will show you, if you don't know that it's scalding hot because you don't have the sensation to feel it, you would appear to be quite a strong fucking person. It's just that you're not feeling it, you know?
Yeah.
They don't end up
actually doing very much with this as a concept, but yes.
They don't. It's just to give him an interesting backstory or something like that. But they say that he killed the doctor that couldn't remove the bullet from his head that eventually saved his life anyway. And the bullet will kill him one day, but until the day he dies, he'll keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
Yeah, this is also the moment where the same doctor walks in to explain this, and she hands Moneypenny the file or something. And Moneypenny's like, "Oh, you've been cleared for service," and everyone in that room knows that he fucked that doctor. They're not impressed, especially Moneypenny's not impressed.
Yeah, she's like, see, but I think that's just supposed to be like, I'm the one that loves James Bond. Who the fuck are you?
I don't know about that. I think it's just like that you're, like, she has to take the lady aside. It's like, look, you're allowed to flirt with James Bond, that's fine, but don't fuck James Bond. That's a terrible idea, okay?
It's a bad career move. It's a bad career
move. I've walked that lane for 50 years, okay? You don't fuck James Bond.
But this is where Bond is then officially sent to look after Electra.
I think M has a good line where she's like, "Now Shadow stays behind and outside, not on top, James Bond," okay?
Yeah, okay. When we get to Azerbaijan in the oil fields, the oil pipeline, it's going to go through an old sort of Orthodox church that's existed for years, and it's something that wasn't destroyed during the Soviet Union. So Electra King tells everyone that the pipeline will go round the church because it'd be a crime to destroy what little we have left of the past that the Soviets didn't destroy in order to secure a future.
Yeah. Because she's a good oil baron, unlike a bad oil baron.
But Bond has a little smile at this. Bond kind of likes her, and also when he's looking at the kidnap hostage videos, he also kind of likes the look of her because he tries to like wipe the tear away from her on the screen. It's really weird. But Kyle, do you know how this pipeline foreman is?
No, but I'm sure you'll tell me.
Kyle, this is Omid Djalali. This is a British actor guy. He's like one of these, look at that guy, you know? You would recognise him as like...
miss this.
You would recognise him, Kyle, as the prison warden in The Mummy. also the same year as this. He's
Nathan,
the guy that keeps Brendan Fraser.
I've never seen The Mummy.
You've never seen The Mummy? God. Crazy.
I'm sure you knew that, but apparently you didn't.
Crazy. Yeah, because it just seems, it's like, it's so good. The first Mummy movie especially. I like the second and third one's okay, but like the first Mummy's so good. Oh, Kyle, you're missing out. Anyway, enter the Mummyverse, coming soon. You would also maybe recognise him as Yusuf Amir from GTA, The Ballad of Gay Tony.
Sure, okay.
He also reprised that character in GTA Online in a 2023 update for the Chop Shop. Not that you played that.
Oh,
but,
very good. Maybe he'll be back again in GTA 6.
But maybe. But he's a British that guy actor. I looked to see if he was in Doctor Who or Star Trek. He's not been. But he's mainly a stand-up comedian and political activist type person, you know. But he's a nice guy. Everyone likes him, right? But anyway, yeah, little bit parties, one line of dialogue in this film. Nice to see him.
Bond and Electra King decide to go skiing for a reason I didn't quite understand.
To go survey the route of the pipeline.
Right, okay, so they have to do some fun skiing to get there. They can't just fly over it with a helicopter.
Exactly. That's exactly what you got to do, Kyle.
Okay, fine.
Because you want to enjoy yourself. You want it to be a day out, you know?
Yeah, speaking of Her Majesty's Secret Service, though, it is time for some skiing action.
God, at least this skiing looks cinematic, Kyle.
He doesn't have big goggles anymore, Nathan, because it's the 90s. Now he has cool little skiing sunglasses.
He does. I hope he has, like, sunscreen on, because you can, like, get really bad sunburn in the snow.
Looking out for Bond's skincare. I appreciate that.
I am. Skin cancer is a pretty serious issue, Kyle, and I think that Bond should be taking it more seriously. At least Electra King's got the hat on and she's all wrapped up. Bond is very, very loosey-goosey. You know, his torso and his legs are protected, but that's about it, and his feet. His face is just screaming out for death.
Okay, they get attacked by these, like, skis with big fans and, like, parachutes, and I have to assume this is a real thing, because otherwise what an insane thing to just put in a movie.
Yeah. They're like snowmobiles with big turbine engines in the back and parachutes, but they're dropping grenades and they're firing SMGs. They even have backup parachutes because they must be expecting to get thrown off a cliff at some point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the most part, these guys are the dumbest drivers ever. One of them just flies into a tree without any interference from Bond whatsoever.
It's because he was drawing them into the trees. Could you imagine if they just followed Electra King instead?
I was going to say, yeah, because Bond's like, I'll lead them off. You go down there, I'll lead them into the trees. And, like, how did he know they would all follow Bond? I guess we know now why they didn't follow Electra King. It's because they work for her.
Yep.
But, like, he doesn't know that at the time.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. He has no clue at the time. He's just going, oh, I'm going to have an action sequence now in my movie. You leave.
Don't worry, they'll follow me because I'm the main character.
Yeah, I'm the main character. Yeah, don't worry at all. So it's a fairly fun action sequence, I guess. It's not as bad as skiing's ever been in the franchise.
There is a fun little bit where he tricks one of them into falling off the cliff, and he's like, "Oh, I'll see you back at the lodge," and then it activates the parachute again, and he's just like, "Oh shit, my quip didn't work."
The power of quips failed. His spell fizzled, Kyle.
His spell fizzled.
The spell fizzled. But
he does this absolutely batshit insane thing where he, like, rips one of the parachutes and that somehow causes one to crash into the other one in the air.
Yeah, it, like, spins around, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, an avalanche is caused by all this, Kyle, and he meets back up with Electra King.
Yes.
He has to pull his zip cord on his jacket, and she freaks the fuck out because she's trapped in a bubble jacket in the snow. How does his sleeves come out of it? Because when John Cleese does the zip cord in the avalanche jacket, like, he's sort of rolling around like he is the ball. But when Bond does it, he's, like, perfectly encased inside it, like it opens up around him.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
But they were able to cut their way up and out. And pretty good invention, to be honest. It seemed pretty safe, actually. It's just if you were meters and meters and meters beneath the snow, you'd be in trouble, you know? But it seemed like they were just a wee dusting on top.
It seems like it might be fun in, like, a pool also, you know? Just a big ball to roll around in.
Yeah, that would be cool. They're real things. You can do that.
I know.
But yeah, Q's trying to come up with things for business and pleasure, you know? Well, we take Electra back to her, like, house or mansion or whatever. That one room with the Venetian doors.
She's trying to seduce Bond, but Bond is resisting for now because he's a professional, you see.
Yeah, he is. Bond would never sleep with a person that he's cased to protect. But he's going to find out who tried to kill her, because he's also been told don't tell her that it might be the same person that kidnapped her the first time, because it might scare her. because she's like, who's trying to kill me? And he's like, I'm not telling you, or I don't know. But he's not going to say that we think it's Renard. So he goes to a casino.
It's a boring Bond villain name, isn't it? Renard. Please give him a last name. Come on.
No, Kelly. It's like, they're all divas, Kelly. It's like M. You can't say their name.
Right, yeah,
So
just the artist formerly known as Renard.
The artist formerly known as Renard, exactly. So we're going to a casino, Kyle, and we're looking for someone, but we don't quite know who we're looking for yet. We're going to put on our little sunglasses, though, that were given to us by Q&R, and they're X-ray specs, Kyle. We can see guns, we can see knives.
Well, they're not X-ray specs exactly. They're see-through the top layer of clothes specs.
Yeah, they keep everyone in their underwear, unless you're a guy, in which case you just see the weapons they have on them.
We keep it PG-13, yeah. He only pairs with women in their lingerie. He doesn't pair with women naked.
Well, so there's like other scenes before he gets to the bar where he's still wearing the glasses and he is just looking at women. So like, we don't see his X-ray POV, but we know he's looking at that woman's ass leaning over the table in the casino.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. But we make it to the bar and we see a henchman standing at the bar and he uses his X-ray specs. And it doesn't show his underwear, Kyle. It just shows his guns and his knives.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then
it only picks up women's underwear.
It only picks up women's underwear. And this is where he says, I'm looking for Valentin Zukovsky. And I was like, oh my god, Valentin Zukovsky!
Mm-hmm.
Nice, yeah. And he's like, who? And he's like pretending he's not here. And then the guy comes over and says, like, kick this guy out. And he pins him down with his a knife in his tie or something against the bar.
Yeah, he takes a knife out of his jacket, pins him to the bar by his tie, so he's choking on the bar, and then he just hands the guy's gun to the bartender, who just takes it away. Like, this is just normal business.
Yeah, well, it probably is for Valentin Zukovsky, though apparently he's a legitimate businessman now. But we get taken into the back, and Zukovsky is so happy to see Bond. He does like the James Bond thing, but he does it like jubilantly. He's like, Bond, James Bond, nice to see you. How are you doing?
Yeah, they're old friends now, even though in the last movie he was in, he hated him because he shot him in the leg.
Yeah, he's the guy with the limp, yeah. But to be fair, they did kind of end on sort of happy terms. He did help him out. I wonder where his wife or his mistress was, the one that was singing. They must be divorced.
That was his mistress, yeah.
Right, okay. Well, he doesn't have her anymore. She's not around.
Probably left after she insulted her singing, yeah.
Yeah, possibly. Valentin's assistant bodyguard man with gold teeth is called Bullion, which is just brilliant. What a good name. Because he doesn't trust banks.
He's the most classic Bond movie character in this movie.
Yeah, Well, he doesn't trust banks.
He's a real Jaws.
He doesn't trust banks, so he puts all of his money in his teeth, Because Bond says to him, I guess you really put your money where your mouth is. Oh yeah, so Zukovsky is legitimate, Kyle. He does caviar and beluga, that beluga caviar. That's what he does. But he's there basically just to be exposition for who the fuck Renard is to the audience and for Bond, so literally the film as well as us can speed things up a little bit. And
yeah, well, this is also important later because Elektra comes to the casino and there's a scene where she loses $1 million to him, seemingly on purpose. And Bond's like, what the fuck is this? But he doesn't quite understand what's going on.
Yes, yeah. Because he was like, I should take you home, you shouldn't be here. And then she says, there's no point in living if you can't feel alive. I was like, okay, Elektra.
Yes.
Okay. This is where
that was in the intro song. That must be important.
Yeah. This is where we're first introduced, because apparently Davido, who's Elektra's sort of head of security, he's not here. He didn't go to the casino.
She has 2 security guards. She has Davidov, and then she has another guy who I don't know if we ever get his name. We probably do, but I don't remember. He's a dude. He's like a big guy with a medallion and dreadlocks.
I know his name.
What's his name?
His name is Gabor.
All right, okay.
We get his name when Bond shows up at the house and knocks him out. There's no point in living if you can't feel alive. Very strange line to just say to Bond. But this film's all about family mottos, though, so apparently it's a family motto. Then we actually get taken to, because Davido was given the night off, what Davido's up to. He is meeting Renard. Now, this is where we think the inside man that killed Robert King, is that his name? Yeah. Was actually Davido. We think maybe he's the one.
Yeah.
He's the one that was working for.
Okay, we need to sort out. It's Davidov, right?
Davidov.
You've been saying Davidov or something.
No, I've not. I think maybe just the signal's been shit.
Okay,
Davidov.
Sure.
His name's Davidov.
The recordings will confirm or deny.
Okay, but his name is Davidov. That's what I think I've been saying.
Yes.
That's what I have written in front of me. It's Davidov.
Okay.
Maybe I've been speaking fast, maybe I've been speaking fast, not properly pronouncing my words, but Davidoff is what I think I've been saying.
Anyway, the point, this is where we first meet Renard in the movie, and he's doing, like, evil Bond villain stuff.
I think they're trying to recapture the Alex Trevelyan Janus reveal from GoldenEye.
They are,
here.
For sure, yeah.
Comes out of a mysterious
it's not
room
that.
yeah, it's not, but I think that's what they want to be doing here. Davidoff is with a man called Dr. Arkov, and they're saying the plan's going all right, you know, and those Powerhawks were supposed to make it home. Now that they've died, it's going to raise suspicion because these people are working for the Russian Atomic Energy Agency. Renard's sort of hijacking legitimate business interests, or legitimate government interests in Russia to do this. And now that, like, government agents aren't making it back, like, people working for Renard that are in on it and are corrupt, they're going to have questions asked of them.
Yeah. And this is just such a Bond villain moment, because he's like, he tortures Davidoff by making him hold the scalding rock we were talking about. And then he tells the other guards shoot him, and you're like, oh, he's going to shoot Davidoff. But then he shoots the doctor, and it's like, oh, it's a good thing that guard knew what he was talking about. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right? Like, they went in, they got a full briefing before they ever walked in.
It's like, now when I say shoot him, what I mean to say is you shoot the doctor, not the guy you're currently holding the gun at. We're doing a whole intimidation thing.
Yeah,
you understand,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, you understand. Yeah. You're experienced henchman. So F. Dr. Arkov, you're in this one scene and never seen again, but we're going to use your credentials to get into a Kazakhstani former Soviet Union nuclear bunker that we're decommissioning. But Bond's looking around.
Yeah.
He's got a skeleton key.
Well,
he finds.
Bond does end up sleeping with Electric King.
He does
he just can't help himself.
This happens when Davidoff is being tortured. But Bond decides to get up and out of bed, and he finds Davidoff somehow and just kills him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just shoots him dead. Yeah.
Just shoots him dead. Absolutely.
Well, no. He sneaks into the car, so he finds the dead body of the doctor in the car, and he pretends to be the body. He, like, switches places with it, so then Davidoff opens the car, and Bond gives him a little smile and then shoots him in the head.
Yes, exactly. So now, after this happens, one of Renard's henchmen come to collect Davidoff on the airstrip, and he says, what happened to Davidoff? Oh, he's ill. So now Bond is pretending to be Davidoff, who is pretending to be Arkov.
Well, he's pretending to be Davidoff's replacement. Yeah.
Yes, he's pretending to be Davidoff's replacement. Yeah.
He does say he was buried with work. So.
He was buried with work.
Very good Bond.
Very good. Then, like, the pilot of the plane comes out and says, "Did you bring the grease?" And Bond sort of jimmies the bag, and then he brings out a pair of running trainers.
I didn't get this either.
I
guess it's just a joke about, like, Russians wanting, like, American shoes. I have no fucking idea.
I wonder if maybe in the late 90s this was more pop culture thing that's just lost to time now, you know? And it's a joke lost to us.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's like a current thing.
Okay,
you know?
Sure.
Grease is, like, short for trainers or something? Is it a slang term? I don't know.
But yeah, now we have Bond. He's doing some actual honest-to-God spy shit. So good for you, Bond. It's so rare that he actually does some undercover work.
Well, we've come to this former Soviet nuclear launch bay in Kazakhstan, and he's undercover, and, you know, he's pretending to be Dr. Arkov. And we meet our Bond hero of the film, undisputed.
Yeah.
Dr.
Yeah.
Christmas Jones.
Dr. Christmas
physicist.
Jones. Oh boy, Nathan. Nathan, have you considered what if a nuclear physicist was also a sexy lady?
I like Lara Croft.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah, that would be pretty crazy.
Lara Croft is pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame she doesn't have two Desert Eagles. You know, for the age I was when I watched this, Kyle, this went all over my head. Like, I had no idea. It was just pretty lady, you know, that's all.
Yeah, okay, so this is Denise Richards. I know that, like, she received a lot of shit for being in this movie. Like, people made fun of her for it. Which, like, that's not fair. But also, this is not a very good character.
Yeah, this isn't her fault. Frankly, if I was in her position...
I don't think she's an amazing actress, I'll be honest. But
yeah, if I was in her position in her career, I would have taken the role.
Sure, yeah, you don't say no to being in a Bond movie.
Yeah, exactly, right.
I would maybe fight a bit harder to wear a bra, but, you know, that's just me.
Kayla, I wasn't being a pervert. I wasn't looking at what she was wearing. I was fully invested in the character.
Oh, sure. You can't not notice. I'm sorry. It's so in your face.
But yeah, I suppose so. Honestly, though, it didn't occur to me till she had a wet t-shirt on later in the film, to be honest. That had just been genuinely
just a coincidental thing that happened, yeah.
Yeah, just a coincidental thing that happened. But so this is apparently like the fourth site that's a former USSR test site that she's been here to decommission, so she knows what she's doing. And now James Bond shows
Yes.
up pretending to be Dr. Arkov, who has a Russian accent, and she compliments his English, and you speak English pretty well, Dr. Arkov. And she says it in Russian, but Bond can reply in Russian. He says, studied at Oxford, because she's kind of sus of him, because he doesn't putting on like the radiation monitor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like,
Also, he's clearly doing a terrible Russian accent, which I guess is just in movies. That's what every Russian sounds like. But still,
yeah, exactly, yeah. Would have been better if he was Scottish. Then it would have been a very powerful accent,
Oh, I thought you meant just Dr. Arkov was Scottish.
Oh no! I meant like if you're a Scottish actor, you do a better Russian accent,
He's just, hello, take me to the nuclear missiles, please.
Yeah,
like in Indiana Jones' Last Crusades.
Yes,
The Scottish Lord coming to investigate. Yeah.
I love that. Brilliant, yeah. So Bond goes down into the bunker and he sees that the people he arrived with essentially are already down there and they're doing the decommissioning stuff, but they're basically there to hijack this plutonium and nuclear device. And he sees Renard, and at this point Bond just like holds a gun to Renard and he's like, you're a piece of shit. And you kind of realise he's done this without a plan, because Renard's like, what are you going to do? You're going to shoot me, then you're going to shoot me, then my men will start fighting with you, the commotion down here will be heard by the army up above, and there's no way you get out of this here, so what's the plan? And then fucking Renard just likes to talk about existential nonsense about how he's already dead and he doesn't feel the sunlight. He basically he thinks he's speaking like Luthen Rail in Andor.
Absolutely, yeah.
He thinks he's talking about sacrificing himself.
There's a bizarre exchange here where he's like, oh, did you have, they do some real sexist stuff where he's like, oh, how does it feel that I'm the one who broke her in? They're talking about Electra King. And it's like, well, that's just a fucking weird thing to say, my dude.
This is some weird macho stuff here.
You should have had her when she was innocent or something like that. Yeah, this movie has such a weird, like, relationship with Electra King.
Yeah, it is a kind of weird back and forth that they have. But then he says there's no point in living if you can't feel alive when he's sat down on his knees with Bond having a gun to his head. And that kind of gives it away to Bond.
That makes more sense for him to say because he can't feel anything. But yeah.
I agree, but it sort of gives it away to Bond that something's up here, because she just said the same thing that Electra said to him in the casino. But the army come down, they're like, because Christmas Jones has realised that this isn't Dr. Arkov. Dr. Arkov is in his fucking late 60s or something. This ain't him.
Yes.
Because they print out a picture of him. I don't know how they decide. Maybe, again, she was never sold because she tested them in Russian. So, but they've looked into it and realised that he's a piece of shit. And the army get Bond to surrender, but then Bernard walking away with a nuclear bomb, posing as a workman with his gang, taking SMG and just gun everyone down. So now like Bond and Christmas Jones are hiding down in the little bunker bit at the bottom, and Renard's moving it to an elevator. They get away right as Bond reaches the elevator. Renard is like, you're gonna fucking die. Look down at your feet, and there's like a 5-second detonator pin as the elevator goes up. I don't know what the fuck that's doing there.
Yes.
What happened if Bond wasn't here? What were you just doing? You just blowing up the bottom of the bunker for no reason?
I assume he planted that on his way out to blow up Bond, didn't he?
I don't know. It didn't look, because it was under the elevator, Kyle. How are you getting under there? I don't know. He just has bombs
it's so
on.
Bond can do the thing where he runs away on the chains.
Yeah, because the chains that escorted the bomb out are on like a little rail system, so Bond gets to hold onto the chains as they're going forward, like a flying fox at a swing park, And he's like to Christmas Jones, close the doors, and the explosion comes through, and they got to go up onto like the missile launch bay to like use its like guide rails to go vertically up at like an elevator. And this is where we get the coolest name drop of Bond ever, in my opinion. Because she's like, oh, so you're a British spy.
Interesting.
And
I didn't think it was that cool, to be honest.
I think it's so cool, because she's like, oh, you're a British spy? Like what the hell is your name? And he says the name's Bond, and shoots the thing to let the pressure loose so they can shoot up, and he gets to top and it goes James Bond, and they get out and the explosion happens as they run away. Good stuff. That's always stuck with me since I was a young age, Love it.
I don't know, I just feel like it's a bit extra. I don't know what to tell you.
That extra's fine. I don't mind it.
But yeah, so they at this point, Electra King calls M.
Yeah, who's still in Scotland.
Yeah, and she says, oh, Bond disappeared. I want you to come and protect me yourself. And M should be extremely suspicious of this because M's not a field agent. What's she going to do?
But she's got all this family guilt around her over what she's done to Electra in the past and feels compelled to go to the King headquarters in Azerbaijan. We should note that there are other competing pipelines with the King pipeline that go via Russia. So this
is a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the plan basically is...
We get a lot of oil pipeline exposition. Yeah.
Yeah, the plan basically is to destroy the distribution network for the other pipelines, meaning the King pipeline will be the only pipeline in town to secure Western Europe's oil reserves for the next 100 years, you know? That's the plot, right?
Yes. Very exciting.
But Bond shows back up at Elektra's house and is like, you know, I think you have Stockholm Syndrome, you're fucking in on Renard and his shit because he stole the bomb and got away, and he said the same thing you said to me.
Yeah.
Which is an oddly specific thing that no one else has ever said to me, actually.
This is another thing the movie introduces where I'm like, does she have Stockholm Syndrome, or was she just always evil? And I feel like the movie can't decide.
I think the film at the end comes down on she's an evil manipulator, because she says that it was her that turned Renard.
Yeah, I think that's where it lands.
Yeah, she says it was me that turned Renard to my way of thinking.
There's a scene later between M and Renard where M's like, you proud of yourself for what you did to that girl? And Renard's like, oh, you get all the credit for leaving her with a man like me. And it's like, what does that mean?
Yeah, but I think, I guess from the film's perspective, where the writer knows both sides of the discussion, they maybe both think they're playing off each other. But the film, I think, definitively ends on Elektra being the problem. Because he's doing all this for her. He's the one that's going to sacrifice himself to wreck the pipeline to secure the Elektra family lineage. He's not going to be there to reap any of these benefits. She's the kingpin of this.
Yeah.
She's the one that's got the evil plan for oil baron money, you know? He's the one that's sacrificing himself for her. So she's the lead in this, in my opinion, in my reading of the...
I suppose so, yes.
That's unfolding here.
He's still an independent she does try and gaslight Bond.
Yeah, so she gaslights Bond into saying, like, what the hell are you talking about? You know, like, I'm terrified for my life and I'm scared, and you've come in here and you've slept with me and now you're accusing me of all this stuff to, like, have me listen to you. No, I've called AMM's coming to help out now, but you can do what you like. Follow me if you wish. And Bond, of course, does, because he's being manipulated by her.
Mm-hmm. And he does tell M too that he's suspicious of her.
Yeah, he does
M's
tell
like,
him.
It's ridiculous, 007.
Yeah, that's just, shut up, 007. This is an innocent woman that's been through a lot, and that's why I'm here to protect her. You know, because I think she's probably in a state of denial. I do appreciate this movie giving Judi Dench shit to do, like a lot more shit to do. Like,
yeah, I think by this point they've realised like what get they got with Judi Dench, and like shit, we have to use Judi Dench as much as we can get away with.
Yeah, I mean, smart on their part, you know. Like, you say this film's boring. I'm kind of engaged throughout most of this movie, to be quite honest with you. But
I don't know. I
still think it's middle of the stack. Middle of the stack. I won't say that Die Another Day is better than it, but we'll get there. We find out that in the pipeline, the King pipeline, part of the plutonium that was stolen from Kazakhstan is inside the pipeline on a survey thing. It's making its way towards an interchange.
Well, they don't know that yet. They've learned that once they get in there. But yeah, they have to go and defuse what they think is the entire nuclear bomb.
Yeah, so Christmas Jones is still around for some reason, and she comes as well to help defuse it. When we get there, we find out that, it's only actually half the bomb that's there, but we can remove the plutonium and then just let the detonator go off itself, which it'll kind of mask the death of Christmas Jones and Bond. Primarily just Bond. No one cares about Christmas Jones.
Nathan, she's a nuclear physicist, okay? And Bond's like, what are you doing here? And she says, I'm hiding from questions like that. What does that mean, Christmas Jones? Who the fuck are you?
It means absolutely nothing. But the second the bomb goes off and they assume Bond to be dead, the second this happens, Elektra is just immediately, oh yeah, I'm evil. Here's my father's pin, the real pin, not the one that we used to kill him. I actually helped kill my dad. I'm the big bad. You're coming with me to Istanbul and you're going to die in a nuclear explosion, actually. Don't know why any of that happened or needed to happen, but it did. They could have just left M in Scotland.
Yeah, and I think she's pissed at M because M didn't negotiate with terrorists to rescue her. That's what part of this is.
I think also, I think that's true, but also Elektra used her time being incarcerated to will Renard.
Yeah, this is why I say it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I do see what you mean. Maybe she still acknowledges that she went through hardship that could have been avoided, but she's turned that hardship into an advantage, but she wished it never happened in the first place.
I guess so.
But Elektra does have some sort of lighthouse villa submarine base in Istanbul. It's like a secret place that Russian submarines used to be able to surface undetected, because it has like a a closed-off, integrated little pool that leads into the sea. We come back to essentially Zukovsky, and we go to find Zukovsky in his beluga caviar factory at the sea. And when Bond shows up here with Christmas Jones, Bullion calls Elektra, because apparently he's working for Elektra to be like, Bond is here, by the way, he's not dead, you didn't kill him.
I do like Zukovsky's line in this, because he comes in and he sees Denise Crosby sitting there looking...
Denise Crosby?
Not Denise Crosby, Denise Richards, sorry. I kept doing that in my head, of calling her Denise Crosby, but no, she's not Tasha Yar, no. Denise Richards. She's sitting there looking very pretty, and is like, oh, how did you get in there? I need to call security and thank them.
Yeah, and then Bond sort of appears from behind the door with like his factory foreman gagged, and Zukovsky's like, can't you just say hello like a normal person?
Yeah, good stuff.
I love Zukovsky in this film. I think Robbie Coltrane gets a lot more to do here, you know? He's really funny.
He does, yeah. We get him instead of Jack Wade this time, which I approve of. I
approve of massively as well. But Kyle, in this moment here, we got earlier in the film, we got Chekhov's buzzsaw helicopters.
Yeah, Chekhov's buzzsaw helicopters, yes. We see them just sort of chopping down, and you see that earlier in the movie, like, well, that's obviously going to be used to try and kill Bond at some point.
And then two of them show up here, and they start, like, just shredding up Zukovsky's caviar factory.
Yeah.
And Bond gets in...
I think this is a step over the line into, like, Roger Moore territory, in my opinion. These buzzsaw helicopters, they're just, like, the most obscure, like, difficult way to try and kill someone ever. It really reminds me of the pendulum saw blade killer guy in Octopussy. Of, like, just such a specific gadget to try and kill someone.
I agree. I think maybe they're trying to make it look like it's an industrial accident, you know? I don't know what the hell buzzsaws are doing at a caviar factory, but maybe they're saying, like, oh, the helicopter went off course, it was an untrained pilot. I don't know.
It's like, was it the Prometheus problem, where it's like you just go to the side and you could immediately avoid this thing, but instead everyone keeps, like, trying to run forwards.
In straight lines, yeah. So Bond uses his smart car to destroy one of them, and then there's a second one out of nowhere, and it cuts the spy car in half. Q will be pissed. That's all I can say about that.
Yeah.
But in the end,
That's what Bond says, yeah.
Yeah. Q's not going to like that. But in the end, we get the other helicopter down. How do we do that? We, like, hook it to something? I can't remember.
No, Bond, he increases the pressure on one of the pipes and then makes the pipe explode, and it somehow ignites the helicopter for a reason I don't understand.
I see. Yes, you're right. Bullion is hiding like a fucking coward during all this, but he hasn't outed himself yet as working for Elektra. Then, to get away from the buzzsaw, Zukovsky jumps into his own caviar, like, pool.
I thought it was like a big tub of oil.
No, that's caviar.
Okay.
It's oil, yeah. You don't see a lot of caviar in it, it's a movie, but that's what caviar, I think, sits in naturally.
Okay.
Because he's like, oh, I'm going to drown in my own caviar. That's what he says, you know? Like, this is cruel. And then Bond gives him the cane and helps him climb out. But he says, like, telling me what the hell Renard's after, what you were doing. And he says, oh, I was just smuggling for Elektra. That's what the $1 million throwdown in the casino was for. It was just to, like, cover the smuggling cost. My nephew has a submarine, you know? He's in the Navy. He can, like, move shit. Turns out what he was smuggling was actually just the submarine itself. There was no actual cargo, really. But...
yes.
He gets taken out and he says to Bullion, you know, we may not have a roof, Bullion, but at least we have 4 strong walls. 4 good walls, and then everything collapses around them. And then we get like a wide shot of everything being destroyed, and just we hear in ADR, the insurance company is never going to believe this.
It's like a sitcom gag.
Yeah, it's like a cutaway. Honestly, it made me chuckle anyway. I had fun there.
This is when I'm really questioning why Christmas Jones is still here, because we cut to, like, Zukovsky's, like, other factory, and they're, like, trying to track down the smuggling ring.
This is an old KGB hideout, I think, the same one from Russia with Love,
right,
if I really get my fandom right. And now it's used as, like, Turkish intelligence or something like that.
So, yeah, and Christmas Jones is still just sort of hanging out.
Yeah, she is, but we're trying to track down...
Because she's the female lead of the movie,
Yeah, that's exactly why she's still around. But Bond and Valentine are trying to track down Nikolai, who's his nephew, in the submarine. And they're looking at the maps and all the intelligence software to try and find a way to note the submarine's location.
Yeah. And at the same time, we didn't mention this, but there was like a tracking card in the Bond that they removed, that Bond picked up, and Em had it in her pocket, so she manages to, like, hotwire it into sending out a signal.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what they were able to do.
Which doesn't super matter because they immediately get kidnapped anyway because Billion calls in the troops and throws a bomb.
Yes, and it knocks everyone out. And at this point, this is like you thought Valentine died here.
Oh, it does look that way because we cut him on the floor and he's like exploded and you're like, I guess he died.
Yeah, but when he shows up at the island in a speedboat, he's still got all the blood on his face, so I don't think he cleaned up. He just immediately got on the boat because he has his own goons and henchmen that work for him.
Uh-huh.
Well, Nikolai is poisoned by Renard, as is his whole crew, and now Renard just has the submarine that him and his terrorist faction are going to use if you put weapons-grade plutonium in a nuclear reactor in a submarine, it'll cause a meltdown. It'll poison the sea. It'll wipe out Istanbul. King Pipeline is the only pipeline in town because it goes via the Mediterranean, right? That's kind of what's happening here.
Yeah. And, so for some reason they take Christmas Jones to the submarine.
Yep.
But they leave Bond in the thing so that Electra King can torture him with this, like, neck press device thing.
Yeah, medieval torture device. Now, it should say that she says, if only you'd stayed away, Bond, like maybe in a few years we could have met again and become lovers once more. Now, I don't think Bond...
she seems to be under this impression that Bond is in love with her.
No, she's under the impression that she can manipulate any man at all. That's her whole thing. Because she's like, later on, she's like, you're not going to kill me, Bond. Like, Renard, like, she thinks that she can bend men to her will. This is what she's saying to him when she's, like, twisting the neck thing to break his neck. She's like, I am all-powerful woman. No one can resist me. I am Apex Lady,
Yeah. Well, she does a bit of sexual assault here.
Yes,
we'll not mince words on that.
Yeah. Well, Electra says to Bond, I could have given you the world. And Bond says, the world is not enough. And it's an old family motto. Where's that from, Kel?
Nathan, when was that family motto established? It was established on Her Majesty's Secret Service. It always comes back to on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
George Lazenby's never going away, is he?
The spirit of George Lazenby looms large today.
Does loom large today, exactly, yeah. So...
I say spirit, he's not dead.
He's not dead.
I think he's still alive.
George Lazenby's very much still alive, yeah. He's just happily living off Bond royalties. Now... This is kind of where we find out that really Electra's behind everything, and she cut her own earlobes off because Renard refused to hurt her, but she says that the kidnapping must look genuine if we're to get what we want here, And then just as she's about to kill Bond...
So the movie says, don't worry, you can tell that she's a Bond villain because she has some sort of physical deformity. There you go.
Yeah, that's exactly how the Bond franchise goes, so yeah, that's correct, Kel. Mm-hmm. Now, just as Bond is about to have his neck snapped by this medieval torture device, Valentine shows up in a speedboat to save the day, and Billion comes up and says, hey boss, thank God you're here, I was going to die, And he says, good to see you too, and just shoots him dead with his machine gun.
Yep.
F Billion. Then he comes into the room, he barrels into the room that Bond's being tortured in with Electra and says, I'm looking for a submarine, it's big and black and the driver is a good friend of mine. Just good bits, and he sees the hat sitting there because for some reason the captain's hat was given to Electra for some reason. It's because Renard's holding it in the scene with Electra and he says, go live your future, this is the last time I'll see you because I'm going to go into the submarine now. Yeah, that's why she brought the hat with her.
Oh, we missed the scene that I wanted to quickly mention where we cut to a scene with Renard and Electra King in bed and he's being all like sort of like dramatic because he can't feel pleasure and all this. He's like, oh, am I not as good a lover as James Bond? And I'm like, yeah man, that's a given. I think all of us men understand that if you have sex with a lady after James Bond, you're not going to compare as well. You just have to live with that.
But she's feeling unfulfilled because it's not James Bond, but also because she can't give pleasure to him, and the one thing she thinks she's good at is using her feminine wiles, but he can't feel shit because he's been shot in the head,
Yeah, it's very melodramatic.
It's very melodramatic, yeah, that's what I mean. He just fucking speaks like he thinks he's Luthen Rail all the time.
He thinks he's Luthen Rail, but really he's Cyril Karn.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. Yeah. So Electra brings the captain's hat over to Valentine and shoots Valentine through the hat, and we think Valentine's dead. But then he picks up his cane and he aims it at Electra. It's actually a gun, but then he aims it at the bolt holding in Bond to the torture device, and he shoots it, and he gets a perfect shot in his dying breath, and he kind of smiles at Bond just as he dies because he's freed Bond. F. Valentin Zukovsky. What a wonderful two-film character, I think. An all-timer, in my opinion. I love Valentin Zukovsky. Good side character, absolutely.
He's no Felix Leiter, but sure.
He's no Felix Leiter, but Valentin Zukovsky's still pretty good, Bond chases after Electra, who runs out of the room at this point, And on his way up the tower, he goes and he saves Em, who's in one of the little rooms, because she shouts down the stairs, "You're not going to kill me, Bond, not in cold blood," and then runs away. And then at this point, Judi Dench is like tipped off that Bond's coming, so she's like screaming Bond. So he goes and he just jumps into the room, just shoots the lock and just runs.
It's very casual. It's like, oh shit, I need to rescue my boss. 1 second. Bang. Yeah. Okay, next. It's like a side quest. Yeah.
It's like the quickest side quest
like a side
ever.
objective in a game. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you get bonus points, extra sync points in Assassin's Creed for doing it.
Yeah.
So we get to the top, and Electra's like, "You're just not going to kill me, Bond." And he's got a walkie-talkie, and he's like, "Call Renard off, do it now." And she's like, "Yeah, you're not going to kill me, whatever." And she picks up the walkie-talkie and says, "Dive the submarine, Bond is here," or something like that. She's just Bond and immediately gets shot dead, doesn't get to finish her line. And M comes up and sees that she's dead. And, he kind of...
And I'm just like, yeah, Electra King, why did you think he wouldn't shoot you? I know James Bond, he's a psychopath. He doesn't have any issues about shooting at women.
Electra King's genuinely deluded, though, right? Bond then jumps out
I suppose so.
Bond jumps out of the balcony and into the water beneath. And that's quite risky, Bond. You could have hit the submarine doing that.
But Nathan, you should be happy because he remains soking wet for the rest of these scenes in the submarine.
Thank God he does, I know. He also remained soaking wet briefly after he went underwater in the Thames earlier on. I like the water consistency, Kyle. It's important to me. It's that and sharks, That and shark attacks.
And you just have to imagine, he's still wearing, his fancy suit shoes, and you're like, those must be, so uncomfortable to walk around in, but
he's just
I suppose good for you, Bond.
Yeah, I do like his outfit.
Squelching in his socks, yeah.
Yeah, I do like his outfit, though. He's got the brown leather shoes with a little brass belt buckle to the side of it, and he's got the tan trousers and the blue shirt that's kind of unbuttoned a bit and the chest hairs coming out. It's a good look, frankly, in my opinion. And Christmas Jones is still on the submarine, and he goes and frees Christmas Jones, and he's got the submarine's sort of sinking because I can't really remember why it's sinking.
Well, okay, yeah. So Bond, he tries to go into the control room and get the I can't say submarine. There we go. He tries to get the submarine to surface, but then he ends up having to shoot the controls, and the submarine ends up diving instead. And he's like, "Oh, it was a slight miscalculation."
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. I'm with you. So we got to kind of the submarine's sort of filling with water for some. I don't really know the internal physics of submarines. I don't really know how they work. Why would I? But the submarine's partially flooding, and Bond's got to go out the submarine to go to a different hatch further along the outside of the submarine to get back in it. And that's where Renard is. It's the quickest way to get there or something. So he goes out a torpedo tube. By the way, this is exactly what happens in one of the new Mission Impossible movies, so it's just kind of funny that this is all happening right now.
Wasn't there a thing in the last movie that was also from Mission Impossible?
Yeah, there was. Yeah. Oh, I can't. It might be when they're diving in the HMS. Oh, yeah. It's because there's a sunken submarine. This is all part of the one sequence in the one movie, Kyle. Because he's getting out of a submarine to go down to a sunken submarine. And the sunken submarine, the HMS Devonshire. You see what I mean?
Anyway, they both end up in the nuclear chamber with Renard.
Yes, they do.
And he says, "Welcome to my nuclear family."
Brilliant stuff, Renard. You get a quip. Good for you. You deserve a quip. And Christmas Jones is like, if he pushes this rod too far in, it'll puncture the fluid, the coolant, and that'll cause a detonation. So we need to not let the pressure build too much. Don't let him put that in. And because the submarine's side on, because it's sinking, there's all these pipes and stuff they're using to swing around like monkey bars. And I just think it's a really interesting fight. And it's everything soaking wet. Okay, it's
I just find Renard such a boring villain.
I like Robert Carlyle. That's all I got to say. I like that.
He's Rumpelstiltskin in Once Upon a Time, Nathan.
Yes, he is. I've heard this. I've never watched it, but yes, he is. He's in the Full Monty. He's Begbie in Train Spotting. Yeah, I like he's the Dark Elf in Thor: The Dark World. No, that's Christopher Eccleston.
Not the main one. Because
that's Christopher Eccleston. Yeah. Robert Carlyle was not in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I retract what I said.
Oh my goodness, Nathan.
Robert Carlyle.
He does have an elfish quality to him.
Robert Carlyle and Christopher Eccleston did work together on a Danny Boyle project before Trainspotting. So, sorry, that's how that actually makes perfect sense, and I was right all along, Kyle.
Anyway, Bond does a thing where he increases the pressure on the thing and somehow shoots the rod into Renard.
Yeah, so there's a little diamond that matches a hexagon or a pentagon that matches the layout of all the different chambers on the nuclear coolant board that Renard's putting the pole into, and he puts a pressure thing into a little nodule and then presses the same button that the pipe's going into, so it throws the pressure out that one. And and he says,
I can't imagine this is a thing that it's supposed to do, so...
Yeah, maybe in different circumstances it's meant for other things, Kyle, right? But the pressure basically rejects the pole, and he's already told Renard he killed Electra, by the way. And he says the final line to her, like, she's waiting for you. And it's a real fucked up Romeo and Juliet situation here, you know?
Sure, okay.
And he dies, and Renard is impaled by his own weapons-grade plutonium rod. And the room's filling with water, Kyle, and the submarine's going to explode, but it's fine.
Apparently that's good.
The reactor is flooded, which means it is completely rendered inert. Which...
I don't know if that's how that works.
And the gold plutonium rod is still down there, though, so surely when it explodes and there's coolant nearby and a nuclear rod nearby...
You've just irradiated the entire ocean. Yeah, I would have thought so.
But no, it's fine, actually, because it's flooded, actually, Kyle. Don't worry about it.
H2O, the great preserver. Yeah.
Yeah, Now, the day is saved, and everything's fine. And MI6 are now observing Bond's car. It must be a new spy car, not the one Q gave him, certainly. Because it was destroyed.
Nathan, he's always wanted to have Christmas in Turkey.
He's always wanted to have Christmas in Turkey. And they're using heat signatures to try and find out where Bond is. And they find him, and he's across the road because there's
it's a very Roger Moore scene.
Because there can't be any other people nearby that the heat signatures could pick up. It can only be Christmas Jones and 007 for some reason. Because it picks up Christmas Jones, it means you can pick up anyone. It's not just Bond it can find. But they know that must be them.
I think we do see some people like walking down the street or something.
Oh, right, okay. But for the person walking down the street can't be Bond. It must be the person that's lying in bed, naturally. But it's getting redder, Kyle, and it divides into different legs. And M goes, 007, what are you doing? Don't know why you're shocked, M, to be fair.
Which I don't know why you're shocked, and also you're not allowed to be. You're the one spying on him. This is not like in the previous Roger Moore where they cut to the screen of oh, Bond, he's going to congratulate the Queen or whatever, right? This is just them purely using spy tech to find him. So this is their fault. This is his private moment.
This is private moment, yeah. But R presses a button on the laptop, and he'd done a solid for Bond. He was like, "Oh, must be a case of the Millennium Bug, Kyle." You know. Good for R for doing a solid for Bond right there. And then we cut to Bond and Christmas Jones in bed, and he says, "I was wrong about you." And she was like, "What is it?" He's like, "I thought Christmas only came once a year." What a final line.
James Bond will return. That's the end of the movie.
Amazing.
Oh boy.
Listen, I know you might think that the next one comes back around again to being better. We'll see how I feel after I've rewatched it. But I think this film is firmly a middle of the stacky Bond movie. It's whatever, you know. It's
not terrible. It's not one that I would be very excited to rewatch.
Yeah, I've got a soft spot for all four of his films, so I'll watch all of these again in my life, I'm sure. But this is definitely the just middle of the pile. It's and that one. Daniel, that everyone talks about because how bad it's perceived to be. The first two I legitimately enjoy, and this is just the middle one. This is the other one, you know. But Kyle, that's the show. That's this week. Kyle, where can the people find you online?
The people can, of course, find me at Kyle the Scot on YouTube, where I do video essays and game critiques. I just did a video about Andor. We have mentioned Andor a few times in this episode because Andor is very good, and you can go find that. And that's mainly me. Nathan, where can the people find you?
Kyle, the people can find me online as always on social media hosting services such as Twitter, Blue Sky, and Threads. That's really where you'll find me most of the time. I also run the at name no included, our account for Twitter. I don't really use it very much at the moment because we're not getting much traction over there, but give us some love and I'll give you some love back, I promise you. I'm also in Kyle's comment sections from time to time. Now, audience members, you can also, as long as liking and subscribing for this podcast, you can listen to our entire back catalogue of the X-Verse. Enter the X-Verse, where we looked at all the Fox X-Men movies, and of course, enter the DCEU, where we went through all of the DCEU movies in their time. But if you're only interested for Bond, we've got a perfectly large back catalogue there, and we've still got some more coming. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening, and you can listen again next week for Die Another Day.